So yeah, I mean, before I get into your episode, which I loved by the way, you shared a really amazing story about what inspired you to start exploring. So I was curious, like, what was your first expedition and like what was that like? And Will in the video obviously is afraid, but like were you kind of in the same boat as Will was when you were first starting out too?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, when I went on my first big expedition, it was to the North Pole, the magnetic North Pole.
Mhm.
Now, for me, this was an environment that I'd never experienced before. So where Will says on the series, I've never swam in a lake and I've never climbed a mountain, I've never slept in a cave. I had a lot of things that I'd never prior to that one. So I could very easily put myself in Will's shoes and I knew exactly what he was feeling like. Walking to the North Pole, spending 22 days walking across frozen ocean at minus 20, minus 25. It was agonizing. And that was my, shock welcome to Arctic exploration.
Yeah, and I think what's so crazy about that is, especially with Welcome to Earth, is now that you're experienced, you have that kind of that eye and you know how to handle it. But I think bringing in Will, a person who obviously is not experienced, puts you in like a role of the teacher, both to Will and to the audience. So kind of what is that like to be sort of this guide, not only for him, but for all these people that are going to be watching the show?
Great thing is when you're on screen, from my experience anyway, and you've got someone like Will beside you, you're actually just Will is a conduit for the audience. So whatever you teach Will, the audience will pick up. Whatever you relate to Will, they'll pick up also. And the great thing about Will is he is a natural explorer. All an explorer is someone with a natural curiosity, who's inquisitive, who wants to lift that rock, who wants to turn over that log to see. And that's Will. The moment he got over his anxieties, and he'll be the first to tell you, his grandma told him the best things in life are on the other side of fear. And that's something my great grandma, I lived every day with my great grandma. I'd get, scratched, I'd get stung, bitten by whatever else I was messing with. She'd patch me up and send me back out there. She didn't allow fear to hold me back. And Will is the exact same. He encompassed every single member of the audience. He was asking the questions that they'd ask, and I think in actual fact he was feeling how they would feel as well. He was in awe of some of the amazing things that we were seeing. He was anxious about going into the water. He felt the cold. He shivered when he explained that he was frightened. He explained that he was worried. He told me how he felt about dangling from a tiny rope over a pit that we didn't know exactly how deep it was, with water gushing in and the ice moving every now and then. These are the things that the audience, the viewer, would be asking and questioning and would genuinely want to know. And I think Will wanted to know it as well, so it made it really easy for me.
Yeah, and I think, I'd imagine that despite the fact that you are obviously so experienced doing this, I mean, you went to the North Pole and all of that stuff, but I feel like I'd imagine each expedition, you sort of still kind of have to get into a certain mindset and sort of still prepare mentally and physically. So what is it like for you? How do you prep for something like this where you're going to be doing so many different things, climbing into that ice hole, going down the river and doing all of that? How do you prepare?
Well, one of the key things is to remember that if you think you know everything, then you're probably in the wrong business. I go into every expedition saying, actually, I don't know everything. And I'll reach out to people who've done it more than me or who've done it more recently than me and ask them questions. What was it like at this time? I did it, 10, 12 years ago. What was it like last year when you did it? It's about asking questions and remembering you don't know everything. And if you think you know everything, you're putting yourself in a risky situation. So for me, it's go and get cold again, to remember what it feels like to be cold. I can sit here and say to you, Graham, being cold is agonizing. It hurts, it pains. I can't bend my fingers. But actually, what does that feel like in real life? And I think refreshing those memories and going out and doing some rope exercises and going out and do some climbing, it's always good to refresh. So that's what I do to prepare. Now, it's different for Will because whatever preparation he does, and whatever preparation I did in the past, it doesn't live up to the actual experience of going down a freezing cold river in a kayak and being splashed and being uncomfortable and being anxious because this is a first for you. And equally, dangling from a rope, he's never done that before in an environment like this. With the thing that nightmares are made of, a dark hole, bottomless pit, with water rushing in, and the ice is constantly shifting.
Yeah, and I think that was like there was like a combination of that, like those thrills, especially the way that it's shot. You see this hole and it's just so clearly endless. But then you also, on the other hand, you and Will had such a great rapport. You guys were joking around there and stuff like that. And so did you guys get to spend time like, getting to know each other beforehand, or how do you build that with Will, or really with anybody that you would take out there and kind of guide through something like this?
Well, I'm going to point you to a really great moment. I don't think it's in the show, but Will asked me, he says, well, how did you get into this and what do you love about it? And at that moment, I said, well, look at me. I'm a guy from, I was born in Jamaica, grew up in London. You're a guy who's born in the US and you're a megastar. You're a super A-lister. I challenge you or anyone else to find a bigger A-list celebrity than Will Smith. And I said, look, the outdoors has brought us together. And when we're out here, if it rains on us equally. If it's cold, we both feel it. We're just two regular guys. And I think we approached it that way. And he looked up and he kind of went, yeah, we are. And in that moment, I realized that actually what he does outside of this environment actually doesn't matter. What you've experienced before doesn't matter because you're here to experience something new. And we were both experiencing it together. Therefore, we had a shared experience. And I think that brought us closer together. And we had the opportunity to sit down for, during the shoot. We had the opportunity to talk while we were working. We had the opportunity to talk after we'd finished working. And it kind of just made it easier to work. Well, he was easy to work with anyway, because he was so inquisitive and he was genuinely, he was genuinely in awe of the environment that we were in. So it made it so easy to work with him. And if anything, I think I'd be the hard one to work with because I'm always like, I'm like a kid. I'm like, look at that. And he's like, oh, what's that? And I think the directors found it difficult because we were just like two 10-year-old boys out there just having a jolly.
Yeah, and I think that's what made your episode with him so great, was because you could tell that you guys were just having such a good time, despite the fact that you're in this like really inhospitable environment. And I was wondering, as far as that goes, and then you have the added challenge of working around or with a camera crew and like this production process. Can you talk a little bit about that, about like the behind the scenes aspect a little bit and how you sort of navigate that?
Yeah, so the brilliant thing is, these were some of the best camera operators and the staff were the best that you could find. Between Darren Aronofsky, between Protozoa, Nutopia, Nat Geo, and Disney Plus, they just got the team of the best people together. So for the most part, they let us get on with it. They just told us, look, we need to kind of capture you coming along here, and the rest is up to you. And because they gave us so much free reign, we could enjoy it. And it wasn't as interrupted as maybe another shoot would be. So we had the opportunity to have a real experience. And everything that you see in this, we really did. We really did enjoy it as well while we were doing it. And I think a lot of it Will is going to take away. One of the things that he said so many times is, look, I've never done these before. I've never been on a kayak before. I've never gone down a river in whitewater before. And it's like every time we spoke, there was almost a, I've never done. And I thought, well, these are memories for life. And I think because we were talking about it being memories for life, Will was enjoying the experience that much more. And I think it shows through on the camera because we were just two guys out showcasing some of the beauty of this world in a way that the viewer has never seen before.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for it to get out there and for everybody else to see it too, because I think it's going to be a really interesting sort of perspective and way to look at it, especially putting Will Smith into this like crazy environment. But I did want to go. I had one more question for you before I go. I read that you have another really exciting expedition coming up. You're taking a group of young people to Antarctica in 2022. And I was curious how that came together and how you're preparing for that and what's that going to be like for you?
So one of my biggest passions has always been to take more people from deprived areas into the outdoors. Now, Will Smith is a great example. He is not a deprived person by any measure. But what you saw him experience there is what everyone that goes out there experiences. The truth is some young people never get the opportunity. So I've been working hard to fundraise and create these opportunities through my charity, the We Too Foundation, which I set up with another expedition partner of mine. And we take underprivileged children on young people on expeditions of a lifetime. And next year we're taking 10 from across the United Kingdom to Antarctica on the world's first ever carbon negative expedition of its kind. They're going to be doing real life science while they're there, so they have to, they're going to earn this trip. They don't have to pay for it, but they're going to earn it. They're going to do some real life research. They have to offset their carbon. They have to engage their peers. There's so much they have to do that they'll get so much out of to earn their place on this expedition.
Yeah, well, that sounds really exciting in and of itself. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited for everybody else to see Welcome to Earth. So thank you so much.
Thank you.